Hi, good morning. I'm Detective Ranson. Mind telling me where you were?
So we're going to be talking about the movie Lifechanger. This one is written and directed by Justin McConnell and will be released on the 1st of January 2019. Now this is the perfect horror movie for Valentine's Day. Yes, it's actually a love story, but a horror movie at the same time. And I've got to say it's somewhat unique, although I have seen shades of this before. I remember watching called The Hidden, and I was reminded of that. I've seen people review, kind of compare this to Under the Skin as well, which I haven't seen, so can't compare it to that personally. But anyway, the movie here, interestingly, our antagonist is also our protagonist. So it basically follows this character who is actually a shape changer. Now, really, we can only know that he's male originally, but he can actually shape change into pretty much anyone he wants to. He's basically a character that essentially sucks the essence out of a victim, taking on their features, their looks, but also their memories and everything like that. But he kills the victim in the process. Now, when he needs to change, he's not really so much a choice; he just has to do it ultimately. So, otherwise, he fears he'll die himself. So it's really sometimes it's a case of, having to kind of ultimately suck the life out of someone out of necessity rather than kind of choice. What's interesting here, they give a little bit of context into how much control he has. He can actually control how long a body might last through taking antibiotics or speed the change up by taking cocaine. But other than that, he's really a victim of this particular circumstance. Now, we're really given no idea, why this happens, what's the reason for it. We just have to accept it. And it's actually told from this character's point of view. We know as kind of Drew. And throughout the movie, he'll change into various different personas. And his ultimate goal here is to find this woman that he was once in love with. He took over someone's body and they had a particular partner. And at this point, he actually genuinely fell in love with this woman. And he's kind of taking various different kind of guises and trying to talk to her, find out, what's going on. And ultimately trying to stop her from dating the ultimate hipster who is in this movie. So it's a kind of love story. It's a romantic film. So it feels quite unique. And I've got to say, it's definitely a character-driven movie, but also has some extreme and very gory body horror as well. So if you like a bit of body horror, this may well, be a good kind of movie for you, along with strong characterization and some decent acting. So that was all pretty good. And also it's quite unique in the fact that our creature is the actual point of view character. You're seeing it from this kind of like this person's or this creature's kind of point of view. And you get a good sense of who this person is, and the fact that they are just kind of surviving. They're not necessarily evil. They might be somewhat selfish, but they're not really evil. They are just trying to kind of survive, but ultimately have to kind of kill people in the meantime. There's all this kind of like people think it's a serial killer, etc. So what did I think worked? Well, I thought the actual story here was pretty damn intriguing. I thought this movie was. Had a great central premise, and as we're going through the movie, we are intrigued to go on this journey with this character and ultimately find out where it goes. And despite this character being kind of like a killer, we still feel empathetic with the character. We still kind of like almost want him to succeed to a certain degree, despite the fact he's killing a whole bunch of people. Every time, I've got to say as well, that he changes body, you do get a good sense of this is the same character. And that's obviously testament to the actors all on display here. but also the director as well. But I do have a little bit of a problem with that, which we'll come on to. The effects, actually, when we see these kind of like body transformations, I thought are excellent. They look suitably painful and grotesque. So that was all very good. And I've got to say, the movie does feel somewhat satisfying as we kind of get to the climax of it. So what didn't I like? Nothing I didn't like, but there are a couple of things I feel that could have been better, and this is really down to the script, I would say, first and foremost. For me, because this character takes on memories and stuff of the kind of people he's absorbed, it struck me that surely his personality would somewhat change. And what would be the psychological effects of such a thing? But it's never really addressed, which I felt was a shame. It was a bit of a missed opportunity, because ultimately, you know, we've got a character here who doesn't really know what the hell he is. It's not like a vampire who knows he's a vampire. He doesn't know what he is. And he's sucking these people and kind of taking their kind of memories and their lives, but he always seems to have a very constant kind of personality, if that makes sense. He's very driven to achieve his goal, and it never seems to kind of deviate. And I didn't actually realise he was taking on the personalities of the characters until it was actually he literally says it towards the end of the movie, because it didn't seem like that. So that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. And I've got to say, again, this is down to the writing. His ultimate goal is a little stupid. I mean, it's a little short-sighted, and for someone who has clearly had to survive and obviously is been quite intelligent up to this point, it seems very dumb what he actually intends to do. And considering this is not like a spur of the moment plan, he's been kind of planning this for a while. I don't really foresee how he expected his plan to go any other way than it did, if that makes sense. So it seems to me that the writing could have been a little bit better on this movie. It could have been a little bit more to it, a little bit more depth to it, maybe have a little bit more kind of other characters involved perhaps as well, because we do only really see it from his point of view. It would have been interesting to see how the police are kind of dealing with it and all that sort of thing, and maybe they're kind of closing in. But it really is a good movie, and one that I felt is very kind of intriguing, very original, and it will make you feel sympathy, but you'll feel grotesque with feeling that at the same time. So I really enjoyed this movie, and I would recommend it. It's just a shame maybe that just the script needed to go over one more time and just kind of punched up a little bit for me. But it's worth a watch if you like intelligent horror movies, and it definitely has a kind of a bittersweet romantic sense, because this is his driving force. It's a romance, and the person who is the other side of it as well. Again, someone who's desperately lonely, has had tragedy in their life. So you kind of want to see this kind of romance blossom to a certain degree. So it's one to watch. It's a romantic horror film. So for me, one to watch on Valentine's Day with your significant other, if you're assuming you are both into horror movies. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a decent, well-made film overall. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.